prices are back on the rise again this year.
Authorities say the mystery of who murdered Ed Schiller in a Newton, Massachusetts parking garage quickly unraveled. Witnesses identified a red Ford Taurus at the scene, which was traced back to Scott Foxworth, an ex-con who had served time for second-degree murder. Foxworth drew police attention but had no apparent motive. As investigators followed other leads, Stacy Rock began to worry that her ex-husband Jim Brescia was somehow involved.
I think it hurt his ego so bad that I actually loved somebody else.
Did it enrage him?
Mm-hmm. He just became obsessed. Ed this, Ed that.
In fact, Ed Schiller had told Stacy he thought her ex might be stalking them.
There were a couple times where he's like, Stace, I don't want to end up, with a bullet in my head.
He told other friends, if something ever happens to me, it's Jim Brescia.
Yeah.
And when something did happen to Ed Schiller, Stacy was confronting the unthinkable, the father of her children emerging as the main suspect. Police had found both a witness and a phone card that connected him to ex-con Scott Foxworth. And 3 months after the Schiller murder, police arrested them both.
We believe that the motive is related to Mr. Brescia's concern and jealousy.
Authorities painted the picture of a contract killing. Foxworth, they say, was the trigger man, in it for the money. He goes on trial next year and has pled not guilty. Jim Brescia's trial began last June.
Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard.
Stacy Rock was a key witness for the prosecution.
I remember him saying Ed would be lucky if their paths didn't cross because he didn't know who he was dealing with, and that if we ended up together, it wouldn't be good for his health.
The prosecution's other prize witness was a woman they say was the linchpin in the plot against Ed Schiller. Her testimony was crucial, and she was granted immunity to give it.
Did Mr. Brescia indicate his thoughts about the wife's boyfriend, Ed?
Just that if he wasn't in the picture, he could work things out and Stacy would go back to him.
Prosecutors say Nancy Campbell, who worked with Jim Brescia at Raytheon, put him in touch with her boyfriend, alleged triggerman Scott Foxworth. On the stand, she said their plans for Ed Schiller escalated from a threatening warning to murder.
What changed?
A beating wasn't enough. They could point the finger back at him, and if he was dead, then they couldn't point it back at him.
The prosecution also presented phone records of 81 calls and money transfers that linked the two men. The defense tried to dismantle the prosecution's case and create an image of a reunited family that would eliminate Jim Brescia's motive. They placed the defendant back in bed with his former wife over the Christmas holidays, just 2 weeks before the murder.
He stayed at your house from December 23 to January 2, didn't he?
I believe, yes.
And he slept every night in bed with you, didn't he?
I'm not sure if it was every night.
And he was sexually intimate with you during this period, wasn't he?
Unfortunately, yes.
He and you and the kids did things together that week, like going out to dinner, correct?
Yes. I was guilted into having him around. I think a lot of it was sentimentality around the holidays and trying to not upset my children any more than they already have been.
What was it like to sit in that room with your husband at that defense table?
Excuse me. He was my ex.
Your ex-husband.
But you know what? He's nobody that I knew.
Jim Brescia's defense attorney shocked many in the courtroom by calling just one witness, the defendant himself.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give to this court and jury in the matter now pending.
Yes.
The defense portrayed Jim Brescia as a concerned father, worried about his children being exposed to Ed Schiller, who Brescia believed had a history of drug abuse.
Why did you want Mr. Schiller to be kept away from your children?
I didn't feel he was a good role model.
What was the most that Scott Foxworth was going to do with Ed Schiller in sending him a message?
He was going to threaten him.
According to the defense, either Foxworth took things further on his own, or someone else did the killing. When the prosecution questioned the defendant, things got nasty. Jim Brescia's odd behavior on the stand led to an explosive bit of courtroom theatrics.
You first met Scott Foxworth when he went to prison for 3 years.
I'm sorry, Adrian, I got a headache.
Did you call me by my first name?
I said I have a headache.
Mr. Brescia, in this courtroom, we refer to everybody by their surnames.
Mr. Brescia, you made a conscious decision to pay a man convicted of murder to take care of your problem, correct?
I told him I just wanted to go talk to him. That's it.
Were you afraid to do it yourself?
I didn't want to talk to him.
Yeah, you didn't want it to be tied to you, did you?
No.
You wanted to get somebody else to do your dirty work for you, right?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard all the evidence that you are going to hear in this case.
After a trial lasting nearly 2 weeks, the jury was sent to deliberate. While they were out, there would be one more shock in the courtroom, an unexpected twist that could derail the whole trial. That when we come back.